Welcome to our Tax and Accounting channel. Today we are going to talk about IRS Appeals. This is one of the most powerful tools and rights that taxpayers have to challenge the IRS, and that's why it is important. I'm Gary Massey, a CPA and the owner of a tax and accounting firm. I work with business owners and small businesses, and we deal with these types of issues all the time. So we're going to talk about three different types of appeals, and the reason they're important is that sometimes you get a letter in the mail and it is overwhelming and scary and you don't know where to turn. So if you make an appeal, if you follow these three different processes that we'll be talking about in this video, you have an opportunity to get in front of a decision maker at the IRS and you can make your case. You can do it face-to-face or over the phone, and that can be one of the most powerful ways of getting your opinion heard in front of the IRS. There are three types of appeals. The first is called a collection due process appeal, or a CDP hearing. The second is an equivalent hearing, and the final is a collection appeals process hearing, or a CAP appeal. The way that you get these rights, first of all, you're going to get a letter in the mail. It's either a notice of federal tax lien or a final notice of intent to levy. These are scary letters, but each of these letters provides you with an appeals process. You have 30 days to make an appeal, and those 30 days are critical. If you miss the 30-day appeal process, you lose important rights that you don't want to lose. You want to retain those rights. So that's what we're talking about here. The collection due process hearing, or CDP, once again means that within those 30 days of receiving the two letters that I just mentioned, you make your appeal. You have 30 days to do it, and then your case will be forwarded to an appeals officer, also called a settlement officer, and all collection stops. You're not going to be garnished. There won't be any levies. You can just focus on your appeal. And at the end of the process, you're going to have a decision from the appeals officer. However, you'll be able to protest even that, and the way you do that is by going to United States Tax Court. The second type of appeal is called an equivalent hearing. It is just like a CDP hearing. The difference is that collections do not stop. You have to keep on dealing with the collections department even while you're dealing with the appeals department. So there is a risk of garnishments and levies while you're dealing with an equivalent hearing. And secondly, and importantly, you do not have the right after an equivalent hearing to go to United States Tax Court. So the decision of your appeals officer at the equivalent hearing is final. I just want to mention a couple of restrictions that are important in order to get your case heard at an appeals hearing. You must be in tax compliance to be successful in getting an appeal. That means that tax returns have been filed and quarterly tax payments have been made. You can't get in front of an appeals officer unless that's true. The hearing is going to be done over the phone, although you do have an option to request a face-to-face meeting, and sometimes that can be very effective. Before the appeals, you have to provide any documentation that is missing, such as copies of tax returns or proof that you're in compliance, that you have made your quarterly payments. And then secondly, at the meeting, you have to bring with you whatever documentation is going to be required to support the request that you're making, such as a Form 433 for an installment agreement or an offer in compromise package. At the end of the meeting, the settlement officer will provide you with a notice of determination, and that is his or her response to your appeal. And as we said before, if it is a collection due process hearing, you can take that appeal, that notice of determination, to tax court and protest it. If it's an equivalent hearing, you cannot do that. And then finally, there is a CAP appeal, a collection appeals process appeal. That's more for administrative matters. For example, if a notice of federal tax lien was given to the wrong person, there is a process for appealing that. Basically, you can have your representative, like your CPA, call up the IRS, and there's a certain way of doing it with certain forms. I won't go into the details now, but you can get in front of an appeals officer just for these types of administrative problems. And we have been very successful in sorting out these kind of administrative snafus when they happen. So it's an important right to be aware of. I hope you have found this discussion about appeals useful. It can be important in the right situation. If you have any questions, please leave them below, or you can send me an email. In addition, if you have a personal situation that you'd like to discuss relating to IRS appeals or any other tax matter, please feel free to call my office, and I would be more than happy to discuss it with you. For now, I wish you all the best, and I look forward to seeing you next time.